Back now on Triad Today, time to talk about electric vehicles. I love electric vehicles. I've been intrigued by these things for 20, 30 years. And J. Paul, Director, if we can meet an expert on EVs. Hanna Cockburn is, of course, Regional Planning Programs Manager with the Piedmont Triad Regional Council. And Hanna Cockburn, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Just so we're clear, what constitutes an electric vehicle? Because we see these ads on TV and somebody says, oh, I love my hybrid. And what does that mean? A hybrid between gas and ethanol? A hybrid between EV and gas? Or what are we talking about?
Sure. Well, electric vehicles can come in a number of forms today. The hybrid, as you mentioned, which is a combination of both gasoline and electric. Then we've got all electric vehicles, the kind that you'll see on the highway today. Then we have hybrid electric vehicles that are made for neighborhood use. The GEMs and that, you'll see those on college campuses sometimes. But then you have things more like the Chevy Volt, which are primarily electric, but have some sort of gasoline component as a backup.
Now, how many EVs are available now? I know that's a tough question, but can you estimate it all?
Well, right now we believe that in the region there are about 150 EVs that have been purchased by either fleets of businesses or individuals.
Are there more coming?
But there are more coming. We estimate that by 2030 we should have somewhere in the range of 150,000 electric vehicles as part of our regional mix.
Not to get into a debate, because you and I are of the same mind on this, but we should have been where we are now 20, 30 years ago. At least we're there now. What are some of the challenges to using plug-in EVs? People say, because you hear this all the time, they say, well, I've read a little bit about electric vehicles, but gosh, how am I going to go plug something in?
Exactly. One of our greatest challenges, at least in this region, is preparing the equipment side, making sure that there are plenty of places available to the public where people can charge those vehicles so that they feel really confident when they leave their house that they're not going to run out of fuel.
And of course, there had been some conversation years ago, and again, I hate to keep living in the past, but when you're 100 years old like I am, you have to live in the past. But there used to be a big conversation about having charging stations in your own home.
Right. And most people today, when they're purchasing an electric vehicle, will purchase a charging piece of equipment that gets installed either in their garage, in their driveway, to charge their vehicle at night.
And then typically you can go, I'm not talking about one for that only use in the subdivision, but if you want to get on the highway and go, how long can you go before you've got to panic and find a charging station?
It really depends, and that technology is evolving so quickly. That first round of vehicles were somewhere in the range of 75 to 90 miles before you were really in a bind and needing to recharge. But as we're seeing new battery technologies come online, we can see upwards of 200 miles.
Now, your office has been involved in a planning process. Why did you get involved?
We were invited to participate by some of the other regions in the state as a critical piece of North Carolina's plug-in electric vehicle infrastructure. So we've been really pleased to be participating with areas like Raleigh, Charlotte, Asheville, places that have already done a lot of work in this area, and were asking us to participate.
So let me see if I glean this right. We're behind those other areas technically?
Well, we are in a position to really take what they've learned and go much further, much faster. What is the plan? Is there a specific thing you can tell me about the plan in terms of what it recommends? You've already told me how many you hope will be in existence, 150,000 or whatever by 2013. Is there a specific point in the plan that we ought to know? We're just now really wrapping up the final leg of the draft planning, and we've got 4 real critical things that we think need to happen in the region. The first is to make sure that people have really good, solid information about the vehicles themselves, what they can and can't do, and how they can be used in their own lives. The second is to make sure that we have the policies in place in our local government so that we're not tripping ourselves up in getting the equipment out there, and then finally getting the equipment installed and ready for folks who need to charge.
It's got to all work together, and that's where we really fell down. I say we, but there's a lot of forces that were at work against EVs back in the 80s, and I'm so glad that this is catching up and we're moving forward with it, and I hope you'll stay on top of this and come back and visit with us. I think your website is ptcog.org. That's
right.
The general website, and then triadsustainability.org is also up on screen, as is partnc.org. Check out all those sites. Catch a part bus and learn about EVs as well. We'll be right back.